Welcome back to Abel's Treasures. Today I have a treat for you. Kelly Luis comes on and we get to know him a little bit better. Such a nice guy. I really do appreciate him. We're going to jump right into it. But before we do, remember to subscribe, share with your friends. I'm going to put Kelly Luis's all his links down below. Go give him a follow. Full of knowledge, continuing to learn all the time. Let's get right into it.
Hey, Luis. First of all, welcome to Abel's Treasures. Thank you for coming onto my channel. I appreciate it. Before we get started, one of the things that stand out for me that I'm very thankful for, and right even before I hit record, you're that same person, that same way. You reached out to me right before I went on my first live ever with Hump Day Hangout. I was a little bit nervous, and then I get your message, you're going to be great, all that. It kind of calmed my nerves. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for that. And then actually talking to you in person for the first time, you're that same person of, it's good. You're going to get through it. So I really appreciate that demeanor of yours. Now, do me a favor and tell everybody that's listening a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. Well, yeah, just to, kind of go off of what you just said. Yeah, you're welcome. A lot of people always say, like, especially when they meet me in person or we're like on a one-on-one like this, or like, you're the same person I just saw in your videos. I'm like, yeah, I'm the same person. I don't try to be something that I'm not. I'm just me. That's all I know how to be. So like I said, I've been reselling for so long. But just to get started, I'm Kelly Luis. If this is the first time you guys are seeing me, I'm Kelly Luis. I'm a reseller. I've been reselling since I was 8 years old. I got started reselling because of my father. He used to go sell at the flea markets. So as a kid, I used to go along with, pretty much he used to take me with him to help him. And that's how I learned how to get into the reselling, going to the flea market, selling at the swap meets here in California. He used to sell a variety of stuff, pretty much tools. He will pick up the washer and dryers from the side of the roads and he will fix them and he would take them to the swap meet and sell them. So that's where I got my introduction into reselling. My first thing that I sold as a kid, he bought me a duffel bag. I must have had like 1,000 regular pens, the pens you write with. And he goes, here, mijo, here you go. This is going to be for you to sell. Whatever you make, this is going to be you. Do what you need to do to it. So he had me a little spot right next to his right there. So I will sell the pins. And I remember back then I used to sell like 10 pins for $1. I mean, you're talking back in the 80s. So that's why I got my foot into reselling and kind of been doing it ever since. That's when I kind of got that, okay, I like this. I like making the money. I like getting out there and finding stuff to make a profit on. And it just kind of continued throughout my childhood, through high school. And now as an adult, I've been doing it for so many years.
So when did you start reselling online?
Into them. So yeah, so I started reselling there. Just, stuff just used to sell them. And I just kept going. And then when Mercari came about in about 2014, 15, I was one of like the first to join Mercari. So I've been doing Mercari ever since it started up to this day. And up to this day, Mercari has been my go-to. I've been doing a lot more sales on Mercari. Like I said, I did have eBay as well. But then I had some issues. I'm sure you've had a couple of these where you saw some items, especially new items, high price items, and then they do this item's not free, and then to try to return you something that's used when you send them a brand new item. So after a couple of those, I kind of distanced myself from eBay for a while, and I just continued grinding on Mercari. And like I said, a couple of my other friends were like, you should jump back on eBay, give it another shot. So I've been back on eBay as well, but Mercari's always been my go-to for doing the online sales.
That's very interesting to me. Before I tell you why, how long have you been on eBay this second time?
The second time I've been on eBay about 1.5 years now. Like I said, it was recently that I kind of jumped back after so many years of not doing it, just because of the bad experiences. And then, like I said, I was selling some high, electronics that were $600-700, and then for them to send it back and send you completely different items, and then eBay just siding with the buyer, and pretty much I was sent with something that I didn't send them, and I was out on the money as well. So it got disappointing for a while with eBay, but like I said, after a couple of years of not being on there and I jumped back on, so far it's going good. So I'm just still going. I'm still doing it.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because I enjoy hearing different people's perspective on things. And maybe I'm not looking for it correctly, but most people are not saying Bakari is my primary platform. Can you go into a little bit more detail on why it's your primary platform?
Like primary, like Macari, like I said, when I started with Macari, I had found out about it and I joined. Not a lot of people knew about Macari at the time because everybody was on eBay or Amazon. I joined it and I started listing some of the stuff that I wasn't selling on eBay. I was selling on Macari. So up to this day, I always tell people, if there's stuff that's not selling for you on eBay, try listing it on Macari. And I've had a couple of resellers reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, man, that stuff that was sitting in my eBay store for more than a year, I just sold it, and I just listed it 2 days ago on Macari." So, like I said, Macari, like I said, after the whole eBay fiasco that I went through, it's been my go-to for now, and I've been sticking with it because I've been on there for so many years, and I have not had any issues with Macari up to this day.
And I would agree. I haven't had any issues on Bakari either. I've been on it for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. But the reason I asked those additional questions, when I talk to people about Bakari, and this is just me being honest, and maybe I need to change my thought process. Like, I cross post, use it list perfectly, and Bakari is just an afterthought. If it sells, good. If not, well, go well. And that's my thought process. So maybe I need to change it if that's something where others are finding more value than eBay.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty much like eBay. You just got to be consistent with it, and it will. You're gonna get what you put into it. And of course, the keywords on there, like the hashtags you could add on there too. That helps a lot on Macari as well to kind of get some of that traffic to your listing.
Yeah. When I saw those hashtags, when I first involved, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit different. But I mean, we know what they're looking for, like the word vintage or anything like that. You mentioned listing consistently, so I'm going to kind of change a little bit. How do you ensure your priorities are set to make sure that you're consistent with your commerce with?
Yeah, I try to stay consistent with my listings. I tried, now that I'm working full time, I'll do a lot of drafts. I'll take pictures, and on my lunch break at work, I'm constantly listing. And I already have the draft, so I just got to add the pictures to it, kind of review everything, make sure everything's good, and list it. I've been doing that also for Poshmark. I've been on Poshmark for a few years, but this year I actually got more involved in Poshmark thanks to, my prima Lizette. Posh is my her, but she's the one that told me, hey, you need to jump back onto Poshmark. And yeah, I've been doing some sales on Poshmark as well. So like I said, I've been putting more time into listing, and it's been going. And the same thing with Macari, just always try to do drafts and always try to list. I always tell people, if you list even one listing a day, in 5 days, that's 5 listings. If you do 2 a day, that's going to be 10 a week. It's just depending on how many you list. I know a lot of people like to sit and put like 40, 50 listings in one day, which is fine if you have the time to do it. But if you don't, you got to at least try to do an effort to list. Even if you list 1 or 2, that's 1 or 2 things you already listed that you're getting out there to hopefully, get sold so you can get it out of your inventory.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. How do you, including when you're working and over your lunch hour, what's your thought process of not saying, well, I'm not going to do this over lunch. I'm going to actually relax for a moment. What's driving you? Maybe is a better way of asking that question. What's driving you to get those listings?
I always get asked that. A lot of people ask me, what keeps that driving you to keep going and going? Yeah. And to me, it's like when you enjoy doing something that you love to do, you like to do, it doesn't really become work. It's just something that you enjoy doing. So, like I said, on my lunch break, I'll have my lunch or my protein shake, and after I'm done, okay, I'll start listing. And I'll start, going through my listings, or if I have any messages or any offers, then I'll start responding to offers or anything like that. And like I said, it never feels work to me just because I've been doing it for so long. So it's really just part of my life now. Has just like anything else, where I'm just like, okay, we got to do this. Let's try to get some of these listings up. Let's send some offers. Let's see what has to be shipped when I get home. And it just keep going. I mean, like I said, when you love to do something like reselling, to me, I love doing reselling. It's the, looking for the items, shipping the items. A lot of people say I'm the bubble wrap king because they say I pack so well. It's just, I like to pack stuff the way I like to receive them. That's just been my motto.
I like that because for my customer service, when I look at my customer service, when I'm sending a message to somebody, I'm sending it as if I'm sending it to myself. This is the type of message I would expect. I want to go sarcasm, very professional, or doing my best to be professional. No matter if they get under my skin or not, we can control how we respond.
No, yeah, no, definitely. One thing I've learned throughout the years is you keep your customers happy, they will become returning customers. I have a lot of returning customers that always buy from me on Macari because they say, we love your service, we love how accurate you are, and we love your packing. You pack stuff so good that we know that when we buy from you, it's going to come in the same way that we purchased it from. So that's one thing that I always get from my buyers.
I like that. Now, of course, my channel is not just about reselling. I like to go a little bit deeper. And you said a word that piqued my interest. You said the word you take your protein shake. And so a question that I ask a lot of people, what do you do outside of reselling to make sure you're maintaining your balance in life, working, reselling, family, whatever that is? What do you do personally to make sure you have your balance in your life? Is it working out? I'm making an assumption because you said the protein.
Yeah, one thing that I just started working a lot was on my health. I used to be bigger before. I lost a lot of weight already, so I've been consistent with my, lifestyle change of being more healthier for my kids and for my family. I have 2 kids. I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. So a lot of the time, when I'm not doing the reselling or, working, my time is spent with my family and my kids. Whether it's just, hanging out with them, watching a movie, being outside playing catch with my son, or just going out there riding bikes with the kids, for a couple hours, just to kind of, spend time with them. And for me, it's just, okay, I got everything else done. Then we spend time with the kids. And then, that's just my relaxation. That's my, kind of clears my mind from everything that I've been going throughout the day, from work and reselling and packing and all that stuff. So.
Well, congratulations on the weight loss. And
thank you.
The focus on the family type of thing, I really like hearing that because, and again, when I'm talking this to me personally, my experience, when I'm going in that roller coaster of up and down of working out or not working, I know when I was younger and my kids were younger, when I wasn't working out, I didn't have the energy to play with them. But when I got out back on that roller coaster of working out, I created more opportunities to playing catch with my son or running around with my daughter, things like that. So I like hearing those kind of things. Now that I'm an empty nester, it is more of I work out for my mental health, but also gives me the energy now to, list and get things done.
No, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you just try to do whatever we can to keep us healthy and help us find that balance to keep us going for the next day and the next day after that. So,
So outside of listing consistently, taking good pictures, things like that, what would you give advice to a brand new reseller, maybe mentally wise or maybe products that they need to be successful by starting?
Well, yeah, a lot of people always, like I said, I always get a lot of questions on my Instagram. People always message me on a daily basis. Some are, considering starting reselling, even just, other resellers that might have questions, or so. And if you're a new reseller, don't overwhelm yourself with, okay, I see so many videos of a lot of stuff that makes money. Start off by selling the stuff that you already know. If you're into gaming, start with the video games. Start with the gaming systems. If you're into fashion or shirts, start with the t-shirts or, designer shirts, whatever you love to do. If you're into hats, even if you have a couple of hats that you don't use anymore, start off with that. Clean them up. Put them up, and I always tell people, you could start reselling with no money down. You can just start reselling stuff that you have in your house that you no longer need. Or if you haven't used it in 4 or 5 years and you just have it tucked away in your closet, maybe it's time to get rid of it,
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't see it that way. They're like, man, Luis, I've never thought of it that way. But the way you're saying it just makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people have gotten started that way by selling stuff that they don't use anymore in their own home. So if you're a new reseller, that will be my tip for you is don't feel overwhelmed. Like I said, there's a lot of great resellers online, on YouTube. I mean, everybody has their own style and their own way. I always tell people, don't try to be me. Don't try to be anybody else. Just be yourself, do what you need to do. And like I said, we all resell, but everyone has their own way of doing it.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like those tips. And it is human nature I need to know everything before I get started. And in reality, find an item that's valuable. Maybe you own it personal, sell it. And you go through that experience, and then you build on that.
Exactly.
As you were talking, I was thinking all the bigger resellers too, they all started somewhere. They all started with one thing. Yep. So yeah, I like that tip. So on those tips, you have people reaching out to you on Instagram. I know you have a following on YouTube. You have a following on TikTok as well. So I love your social media. Is your goal on your social media really for education, or what are your primary goals with YouTube, TikTok, and et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I started, of course, my YouTube and started getting into, doing the reselling videos or what sold videos and garage sale, yard sale stuff, I got really into it when the pandemic started and everyone was pretty much, confined to their homes and stuff. But out here, I was still going to yard sales and garage sales. So I was doing it more as an education, but also for people to have something to watch, because a lot of people were home and on YouTube, that's all they were doing. So a lot of the videos I was making was, like I said, to show what I was seeing, what I was finding out here in the yard sales and garage sales, but also to show people that anybody can do this. Anybody. My dad, he's already retired, and he still goes to the flea markets and yard sales, and his thing is tools. So he sells tools all the time. So like I said, anybody can do it. It's just, don't be afraid to take that first step. And like I said, my social media presence, I like to show a lot of, like people say, a lot of bolos and stuff like that, to show that you could go anywhere. I mean, you go to my TikTok, I have stuff you can find at Target. Even at the Dollar Tree, there's a lot of stuff you can find. And people are like, wow, I never thought about going to a Dollar Tree to actually look for inventory to flip. Like I said, don't ever cut anything short, because there's profit everywhere to be made.
Yeah, and I've actually been asked this question a couple of times over the last week of, how do you feel about artificial intelligence? How do you feel about Goodwill raising their prices? So I'll give you my answer after yours, but how do you feel about those changes that are occurring? Do you think it has an effect on your sales?
On some items that I used to pick up before that are overpriced now, yeah, it does. It doesn't have an effect on my sales, because as a reseller, you always got to be able to see what other items you can find out there, because they do overprice a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that they still don't know about. They don't really price them that high, and they think, so it's not really worth anything. So always keep an open mind on learning new stuff. I mean, me as a reseller, doing this, for so many years, I still learn new things every day. I mean, I know we just did the California meetup a couple weeks ago, and like I said, just by watching other resellers, the way they see, the way they things that they look for, it opened my eyes to more stuff for me to look out for when I'm out there at the thrift stores or even at the yard sales. There was this when we went to the Eco Thrift, Andy Someta, another YouTuber, another reseller, educated me a little bit on bipods. These are the stands to hold up the rifles. I had no knowledge about that. We were at the thrift store, and he goes, "Hey, look, check this out. Look this up." I looked it up, and I was like, "Wow!" It was for $199 at the thrift store, and I already sold it for $40. So, like stuff like that. You always got to keep your eyes open and always be willing to learn something new. So now that I learned that new item, now I know that I could look out for that stuff that another person might not know. Like, I didn't know about that. So now that's something new that I have to add for my inventory when I'm out there looking for, stuff to flip. So,
and that's why I like the community. Most people in the community enjoy educating others, because we can all win, right?
Yep.
You mentioned the Cali meetup. I'm glad you did. Who sponsored that Cali meetup? What else did you get out of meeting other resellers?
Well, Derek Fundamentals, he's the one that put the first one together a couple of years ago. This is the second time that we've had it. Like I said, we did it. It was around the pandemic. And then when we did the first one, and like I said, we got to meet, we all hung out, and a lot of people always ask, well, how can you find stuff where there's so many resellers at one place? So it's like, not everyone is looking for the same thing. Everybody has their niche. Some look for shoes, some look for shirts, some look for electronics, some look for toys, anything. So it was good because when we were out there, you kind of know who's looking for what. So if you see something like, hey, I found something over here, come check it out, and it goes, vice versa. So it's a good thing to meet other resellers, because then you get to, like I said, you get to learn more. You get to share that knowledge of what you know, and you learn, like I said, with Andy, I didn't know nothing about those bipods, and I got to learn that from him. So it's always good to kind of have that relationship with other resellers, because it comes to it, you might come across something that they're looking for and be like, hey, I got someone that has this, camera. Here you go. Here's his contact info. You want to jump on it, go for it. It's just kind of educating people, and just we kind of help each other out at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that mindset. We don't have to compete, even though we can have, we can have the friendly competition. I have a friendly competition with my uncle. He beat me to 2 cameras, and I just got a text today. I think he made like $250 on them. And I'm like, well, it'd be nice to have a deal that would support his nephew, It's good to have competition, but know that we can all win.
No, definitely. It's a good time, like I said. And we have a great time. Everyone we meet up, we're just joking around, just kind of laughing, and just, it was a good time. The day goes by so quick. We're out sourcing and doing, hitting up the yard sales, and it was fun. And like I said, we got to meet the night before, and we just kind of had dinner and just kind of hung out, and we were just talking and catching up a little bit. So, like I said, Staffy just released a video. You'll see some of us in her video that she released. So we had a good time, though. It was great hanging out with everybody.
Yeah. I thought you guys would have a good time. I was a little jealous that I wasn't going to go, but I can't fly to California, and I'm going to Ohio at the end of September for a meetup, so that'll be good.
That's awesome.
I do want to transition to your YouTube channel. I was, I research everybody, I'll click on their links, and even though I know a little bit about you on Instagram and YouTube, things like that, as I was clicking on your link tree, one of the things that I found interesting, and I'm going to make sure I get the name right, TubeBuddy.
Yeah.
So as someone who has a YouTube presence and you're building up that community for yourself, what tools do you use if somebody wants to build their YouTube audience? Is TubeBuddy one of those, or what other tools that you use?
TubeBuddy helps a lot with, it gives you ideas for titles for videos, kind of research keywords for your videos, and all that stuff. So it's a good tool to have, because it helps you, like I said, with those things. If you're kind of undecided what to name your video, or you're just trying to see what's trending at the moment with those keywords, TubeBuddy will help you with that. And it helps you kind of get the, the search engine out there better, and it'll give you a higher score. So when you put it out there, it'll kind of attract more people, especially to whatever your video is. Like, for example, say, I'm going to say, okay, I found 100 vintage shirts. So vintage shirts is going to be my keyword. So, you type that into TubeBuddy, and it's going to say, okay, this is going to be your keyword. So definitely put the keyword in there, and that's going to help you. It's going to raise the score to get your video out there in front of more people and grow your audience as well. But yeah, definitely TubeBuddy is a great tool. I've used it for a couple of years now.
Have you? By the way, I'll probably put your link tree down below. So if anybody wants something like that, go to Luis's link tree, and it's right there. I know I'm going to sign up for it. So using your, what other things? What other things? I see your YouTube community growing. Why do you think it's growing? Why are you having success?
Well, like I said, I don't know if you remember, but before, my name was Cali Reseller Luis. So I took off the reseller part and just left the Cali Luis. Because like I said, you go to my channel now, you can see I have a lot of reselling stuff, but I also have, I'll share some of the family stuff as well. And I'm just trying to share a little bit of everything of what my life consists of, and I like to share with everybody. One thing that's been helping my channel grow as well has been the shorts. And a lot of people ask me, Luis, why do you post so many shorts? I post shorts because I'm active, obviously, in TikTok. I have a lot of people following me there too. So I added on YouTube as well, because there's some people that are on YouTube that are not on TikTok. So I like to kind of cross promote them from one platform to another, and I'll put them on Instagram as well. So that's how a lot of people have been subscribing to my channel. And like I said, I'll get people that message me like, wow, your videos are awesome. I didn't know this about, the way you ship and you pack your magazines. That's one of the videos that a lot of people like. They're like, we didn't know you can do this. Thank you for the tip, and I like to share that information with people, because when I grew up and I was doing this, you got to remember this, there was no YouTube and none of that back in the day. So you were kind of just like on your own. So a lot of the stuff you had to learn on your own. If you made a mistake, that was your mistake. And if you did it right, then okay, good, let's keep going. So I like to share all that information with a lot of people.
And I don't know if anybody's caught this that's listening right now, but one of the things that I'm realizing from you, you've been reselling since you were 8 years old, approximately, right? So I imagine the amount of information that the knowledge that you have about reselling, about multiple different items. We talked about the Cali meetup and just other resellers. You're still on the hunt for knowledge to continue to learn different items, because we can never know everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm catching from you. And I think that's one of the reasons YouTube, reselling, everything is why you're continuing to, in my opinion, be successful, is you're looking for that knowledge. At least that's what I'm hearing.
No, yeah, it's just definitely like I always have that motto. You always learn something new every day. I've always, my grandfather and my dad always told me that when I was a kid. Just remember, always keep your eyes and your ears open, because you'll learn something new every day. It could be a small thing or it could be a big thing. And I'm a big believer on that. So
I want to know what your greatest treasure is. And it doesn't have to be reselling related, be anything.
like something that I found reselling, or just something though, just in general, what?
Just in general, what do you value the most in life? What is your treasure?
My family. That's my treasure. Like I said, I do the reselling because I love it, but there is no dollar amount that anybody could put on anything that you can say, oh yeah, this is going to be my treasure. My family will always be my treasure. My kids, my family, that's always going to be, that's something that you have, and that's something that's not replaceable. So that's always going to be my treasure no matter.
Luis, you are right. Family is definitely the greatest treasure. Now it's my turn to pick 3 items that I pulled out of our conversation. Let me know down below if those are the same type of items that you would have chosen, what you pulled out of our conversation. Now, number one. This one probably seems obvious just the way Luis is, but treat others the way you want to be treated. That actually came to when he was actually talking about he's the bubble wrap king, wrapping it up, taking care of his customers. He's getting repeat customers just because he is taking care of them on an individual basis. Number 2, always willing to learn. Luis has been reselling since he was 8 years old. It's easy for him to say, well, I know everything. But if you've listened to that conversation, he is picking up little tidbits when he went to the a reseller get together in California. He's always willing to learn and then also pass along that knowledge to other people. And I think that's why his media platforms are picking up. So, again, number 2, always be willing to learn, ask questions, be willing to help others. And again, you see that in Luis. Finally, number 3 is one I've said before. I'm just going to hit it home today. Number 3 is dream big, but start small. What I mean is create the dream that you want, write it down, reverse engineer it, and start small. What's that first step that you need to do to create your vision and take that one action and then build on that action? If you go into reselling, for example, and say, I want to sell everything, but you really don't know what is valuable, start with something in your home, start small, and then learn from there. I want to thank everybody for joining. Luis, again, thank you for coming on to my channel. And finally, the greatest treasure is connections with people. Take care of each other.